What's going on, everybody? I am your host of One Up Havoc, and welcome to Act 2 of the Sonic Mania impressions. Now that I've gone ahead, played through the entirety of the game, and had my moment of fanboying over what I would say is one of the greatest Sonic games that's ever came out in a very, very long time, it's time that I give you guys an actual impression on Sonic Mania, which I can easily say is the game that we definitely did not deserve. My goodness. So if I had to sum up what Sonic Mania is, Sega basically took every good aspect about all of the classic Sonic games and they've merged them all into one neat little package that is Sonic Mania. Heck, they even went out of their way to make the graphics better than the Genesis, but not better than the Sega Saturn, so we can get that authentic, classic 2D era Sonic experience. And they delivered very well on this game. Now, from the get-go, I knew that the game, like when it was first announced, I knew the game was already in good hands, and I already had high hopes for it for one reason alone, and that is because of Christian Whitehead. He's the same dude that gave us the remakes for Sonic 1, 2, and CD, and all three of those remakes are absolutely phenomenal. If you hadn't gotten a chance to play any of them, I highly suggest that you give them a shot. But with that being said, the game definitely delivers on its promise. And this is what I would like to say, easily say, that this is the actual Sonic 4 that should have came out, not that other Sonic 4 that came out a while ago. And yeah, it just wasn't a good game, guys. It wasn't good. I'll get further into that later on in a future Havoc perspective episode, but not right now. So what I like what they did here with the game is that, first of all, it's back to bases when it comes to storytelling, because it's literally just Sonic against Eggman, which is how it's always been since the Genesis days. I appreciate that. Like, he's not going around messing with some gods or trying to get some deity to do his bidding or anything. Eggman's just being Eggman, doing his thing, making the robots, trapping animals, and Sonic and his friends are doing their thing, destroying said robots, rescuing woodland creatures, and overall overthrowing Eggman's plan. And the level designs are absolutely phenomenal. Now here's what I like what they did with those levels. When they were using the retro levels, which is basically your Green Hill, your Flying Battery, your your Stardust Speedway, and your Lava Reef Zone, and your Hydrocity. Pretty sure that's all of the retro ones. Oh yeah, and then there's also Metallic Madness. What I like about what they did with those stages is that during the first act, it sort of combined Act 1, 2, and in some cases 3, depending on the game, which is Green Hill's place. They combined all three of those stages into one act. They took like little chunks of each stage and put them into one act. But when it came to the second act for these stages, they completely remixed them by adding in new elements that makes it feel like it's a brand new stage all on its own. But when it came to Act 2, they managed to take that stage and completely redo the level so that it's an entirely different level on its own. Like, for example, Chemical Plant Zone. Oh wow, I can't believe I missed mentioning that as a retro stage. But yeah, Chemical Plant Act 2 implemented bouncing liquids that definitely wasn't originally there, along with certain stage transitions that are completely new to it. And I get the feeling that that had a little bit of wacky workbench involved in there, especially when you consider the sounds that the little bouncy liquid would make, and also the fact that there is a robot there that has a whole electric fence setup similar to how it was done in Wacky Workbench. Or another example I can make is with the Flying Battery Zone, how there is an actual outdoor portion of that stage now that is affected by weather and what part of the level you're running into, which makes it feel like you're actually running through an airborne ship. And that was one of the things I really love about the level designs in these games. They're like Easter eggs that you would definitely notice if you played previous Sonic titles. Another example I can give you, and this was actually in Act 1's stage for, Stardust Speedway. They managed to take elements from Marble Hill from Sonic and Knuckles, and they merged that together with Stardust Speedway. And if you grew up with the entire franchise, much like I have, you would pick up on these little Easter eggs. Like the fact that they brought back Mean Bean Machine as a boss in Chemical Plant. Like, what? Granted, Eggman doesn't know how to play Mean Bean Machine if his life depended on it, because he was really easy to take down in this game. Like, the nostalgia factor this game had was completely off the charts. So I really appreciated what they did with this title. Now, another thing that they've done that I was also very impressed by is the fact that all three main heroes now officially have a super form. I didn't unlock the super forms myself. I unfortunately was spoiled by the internet on that one, and that was my mistake for getting on social media and stuff. Of course somebody's gonna blow it up, but nevertheless, you can turn super with all three characters. And a lot of people are a little bummed out because, oh, the flickies of Doom is not there when Tails is using his super form, or Knuckles doesn't have his Earth Shaker effect when he flies into a wall. Ignore that ring sound, that's just my phone going off. God dang it, I wish I turned that off before I made this recording. Anyway, as I was saying, I know people are bummed out about that, but I can understand why they don't have those abilities, because when you really think about it, the only reason why they had those abilities in the first place is because they were in their hyper forms. You know, when you collected the Super Emeralds in Sonic 3 and Knuckles, as you remembered, heck, even Sonic's form had a hyper that allowed him to do some pretty nifty stuff, like the whole flash screen effect, where it's essentially a high-speed homing attack. Because the moment the flash ends, everything dies. I believe that that's the reason why they didn't bring those back, because this is just regular Chaos Emeralds we're collecting here. But nevertheless, I'm really happy that all three of them have now achieved super greatness. Now, if only the modern games would bring that back as well, that would be amazing, but hey, I'm perfectly happy with how things are. If they don't bring it back, they don't bring it back, as long as the gameplay is still solid. Sonic Forces, I'm looking at you. But another thing I also gotta bring up is the new stages that were implemented into the game. The brand new stages, they're all absolutely phenomenal. I love Studiopolis. I love running through Press Garden. Press Garden is probably by far my favorite newest stage. I like how the stage design plays off. First of all, I wasn't expecting it to be based off of a newspaper factory. That's something I've never seen in any Sonic game ever, and I give them props for having the imagination to be able to pull that off. And then, like, when you reach Act 2, it turns into the ice level of the game, and my goodness, I think we can all agree when I say that the stage is absolutely beautiful and the music is just sexy. It's amazing. I think I've listened to that track like plenty of times, and I can easily say that Press Garden is one of my absolute favorite tracks in the game. Not saying that any other songs in the game are bad, because Sonic Mania's soundtrack is phenomenal, and it's taken the place as my favorite soundtrack of all time, which was a title that belonged to Sonic CD. Well, when I'm talking about their Japanese soundtrack anyway. Aside from that, there's also, what was another new stage? Mirage Station? No, it was either Mirage Station or Mirage Saloon. I'm pretty sure it's Saloon. That stage was pretty fun as well, and you know what? I like what they did with Knuckles there. I like how when you're playing as Knuckles, you still get different pathways that deviate from what Sonic would have originally gotten if you were playing as him instead. Speaking of Knuckles, I gotta bring something up about him later on, but I'll get into that, I promise. But nevertheless, I like what they did with that stage as well. I like how that was supposed to be a beta stage that never got released on Sonic CD, and they managed to bring it back into this game as well. So props to Sega for bringing that into play. But the stage that really caught my attention was the last one, which is, unfortunately, I'm trying to remember what the name of the name of the stage is. I can't think of it off the top of my head. I believe it's called like Titanic Titan or something. It's Titanic something or Tyrant or whatever it's called. The last level in Sonic Mania. First of all, the music in that game is so fitting for a last level. Like, it sets in the gravity of the situation that you're in. Aside from giving me that kind of serious presence, the stage also throws in a couple other things in there as well from previous Sonic games, such as the electric spheres straight out of the bonus stages in Sonic 3 and Knuckles. If you know how to maneuver around those, you'll get through those parts pretty easily. And the enemies were thankfully not very dickish, like I would say in Metropolis Zone, but they were interesting to say the least. And then finally, the last thing I gotta talk about is the Unlockables. I love how the game brings back the Super PLL, the Insta Shield, and I also like the little nugget you get to have with Knuckles, which is basically the and Knuckles mode. Normally, I usually don't agree with developers taking up after internet memes because, you know, usually the rule is if you chase after the internet, your product gets pretty bad and it becomes irrelevant after a certain period of time. I mean, look at the rebooted Powerpuff Girls if you ever needed an example of that. But no, this one I can accept wholeheartedly. It was definitely a smart move on their part to put an and Knuckles mode in, because that is a meme that's never going to die, like ever. It stayed relevant ever since it became pretty sure Some Call Me Johnny was the one who made that joke, and then it kind of escalated from there. I shouldn't say it kind of escalated, it did escalate, it blew the hell up. But nevertheless, the and Knuckles joke turned into a playable function in the game. I gotta give them props on that, and it's astounding. And not only that, but you get a little bonus if you beat the and Knuckles mode. Plus, there's also the fact that you got the debug mode, and debug, we all know what debug mode is. If you've experienced it in Sonic 2, you already know what you're going to get yourself into. But if not, you can essentially break the game, do a lot of really stupid stuff with it if you really wanted to. It's a really fun mode to have. I know that I'm missing a lot of other fun things that I needed to say about this game, but it's just too much stuff to talk about. I can't fit it all in this video. Like, I have to give it an actual proper review, and I also want to give this game a proper Let's Play in the future. And when I say proper, I mean like 100% Let's Play. Of course, we're not counting the Blue Sphere stuff. Oh my goodness, there's so many Blue Sphere stages. I'm not doing all of that, because the whole point of the Blue Sphere stages is to just unlock new things. So I'm definitely not doing that. But it is nice to see that they brought Blue Sphere back, because that was definitely another favorite special stage of mine. And on that note, I mean, this game is absolutely phenomenal. It's about damn time we've got a really good Sonic game, and it's nice to see that the Blue Blur is back in action. This also means, Sonic Mania, you better make sure you live up to the hype. Like, I really hope Sonic Forces is just as good as Sonic Mania. I'm pretty sure it will be. Who knows? We'll see in the near future. But right now, the future's looking pretty bright for our Hedgehog. So, until then guys, this is the 1UP Havoc, and as always, play until your thumbs fall off, get yourself this game, and for those who got it on Steam, your time is coming, I promise you that. Anyway guys, I'm out of here. Peace.